Hello and welcome everybody to All the Rage Sports. How are we doing today? I don't have my full panel with me today. It's just the Jace, Junk, and Jesse show today. So, um,
I mean, we finally just have the minds together.
actual the brains of the bunch.
You know, we don't have to deal with everybody else's bullshit.
So, we're going to briefly, obviously, this is Thursday. The game is actually currently going on. Somehow, we're just, what, 3 minutes into the second, and the Browns are already up 14-3.
Yeah, the Browns are they're looking pretty clean on offense right now. Like they're just kind of having their way. I don't know if that's like last week was just a fluke. Bengals just got a nice return, about out to the 45 off the kickoff. And yeah, I just don't know. Maybe just they didn't have everything in place last week, or it was like I told you before we started, they were playing the Ravens, and they just kind of got lost the personnel battle a little bit there. Exactly, but no, they're clicking early. They look good. Burrow does not look sharp right now at all. No.
Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about week one. We're going to do a little wrap up on that. We have Cam Newton to talk about. We have friggin' Ben Roethlisberger to talk about. We have Tom Brady to talk about. We have Russell Wilson and his ridiculous performance, and even Aaron Rodgers and his ridiculous performance. Unfortunately, we got to talk about Gardner Minshew a little bit. Somehow making
do we though? I don't think we have to.
I mean, we don't have to, but this horrible Jag team is 1-0 right now. And then obviously some key injuries that have happened after week one. Is this part of not having the preseason, not having that full training camp, or is this just? I hear them talking a lot about soft tissue injuries, and that's what we're seeing a lot of. Maybe it is a little bit apart by not getting up to game speed. You get out there and you take 40, 50 snaps and you pull a hammy or bust your ACL or whatever bunch of people
that's
have
all it
done
takes.
so far. So,
Yep.
but we're going to have all that more coming for you, and we'll keep you updated also on the game currently going on. We'll have all that coming for you on all the Rage Sports. All right, guys. So let's just start off with obviously we got to talk about the Bucks and we got to talk about the Patriots. We looked at this Patriots team and we knew they still had that defense. We had no idea what type of Cam Newton we were going to get, and we got vintage Cam Newton. 2 rushing touchdowns, only 155 yards passing, I think is what it was.
I will look it up. I haven't pulled up the week one stats yet. Silly me.
But I mean, he took control of the game. I think he had 16 rushes, if I'm not mistaken, just from a quarterback standpoint. So Josh McDaniels has really taken this offense just like he has when he had Matt Castle or Jacoby Brissett or Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever the hell he had playing quarterback besides Tom Brady. He tailor-made an offense around their strengths, and what happened? They won the game. They have a good defense. They have a smart offense.
I mean, it's almost like maybe it wasn't all that Brady guy all those years. Maybe they just know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, 15 and 19, 155 for Cam. 15 carries, 75 yards. That's obviously a 5-yard average. And then, like you said, the 2 touchdowns. He was their leading rusher by literally, well, not just over half, or just, yeah. Sony Michel had 37 yards, so.
So, do you see, what can they do with this offense now that you're seeing this type of Cam? This is like the type of Cam we had in 2015 when he was an MVP, where he was rushing, he was passing efficiently, He was not afraid to make those type of plays. This seems more vintage Cam than we've seen in the last 2 or 3 years.
Well, obviously they have Michelle, they have Burkhead, they have James White still. There's still plenty they can do if they want to be more creative as far as him running. I don't think that he need to do too much more with him as far as that goes. But I think really where they need to go with this offense is get the running backs more involved in the running game and then start to pass the ball a little bit more often. You don't want, as we've seen with Cam over the years, he's a big, strong guy, but his body will break down with the hits and stuff because he's one of those guys almost like I've talked about it before, like the Shaq rules, where he gets hit harder than most people and has to just deal with it just because he's that much bigger than everybody.
Yeah.
Like he's like a middle linebacker playing quarterback. So they
It's
just
true.
think, he can take it. It's fine. But no, he gets beat up too. So it's a matter of they need to get other people involved in this offense. It can't be all, functioning and running through Cam all the time. I mean, that's obviously nice to have that if you want him to need somebody to take over the game to know that he still has the capability. But this is the New England Patriots. You need to get more gears turning.
Well, one thing we've known that Josh McDaniels does over the years is he doesn't do the same thing twice. Like there'll be one week years ago where it was all Edelman and the tiny receivers. Next week it's all Gronk. The following week, Sony Michel has 26 carries. So it's like he knows how to tailor make an offense to whom he's playing. So do we see more RPOs coming from this? Do we see Cam sitting in the pocket and just passing like crazy? Like, there's a lot of different things they can do with this, and just showing this part of their hand makes you believe that all those other things are going to line up perfectly when that's called upon. Because he passed incredibly efficiently, ran efficiently. There's not a whole lot you can say negative about what he did week one.
No, and as good as everybody, kind of shit on this defense is still, pretty
Still
good.
stellar.
I mean, it's obviously it's Dolphins, but they did hold them to 11 points. So if Cam just, does the Tom Brady way, just come out and just win the games and just do what you absolutely have to do. Doesn't matter if you're a winner, you're a winner. So if he just comes out and does what's necessary and has games like this where, just does enough and just does what it takes to win, then they'll be just fine. I don't think he has to put up ridiculous numbers or MVP numbers. Even he just has to go out and just play the game.
Well, that kind of leads me into the next topic of just when. We were used to a certain quarterback over on this Patriots team who just won, and they seem to put on this like elderly dream team together over in Tampa Bay, and didn't work out so well for them in week one. So, what did you see in that game?
No,
That
it did look like they drug him out of the nursing home to go play.
It was bad. It was bad. There was the one drive where the very first drive, horrible, just looked terrible. Second drive, you could tell Tom Brady was pissed, went down, scored. And you're like, okay, maybe we spoke too soon. Follow that up with 2 more interceptions. So,
Yep. I mean, give it time. I'm sure they'll. I'm not going to count them out of it yet. This is Jesus, but this is like time is a flat circle. We talk about this every single year.
mm-hmm.
Oh, Brady don't look good. Oh, they're out of it. Oh, this is it. He's done. And I mean,
and
obviously,
then AFC Championship comes around, and we're like, oh.
I mean, there's a bigger narrative there now because more is at stake than ever because he's with a different coach in a different atmosphere with a different offense. Everything is different. So now, if it falls on its face, it's it was all Belichick all those years and this and that. So I feel like he's got a lot of pressure on him to perform. But at the same time, like I said, we've written him off so many times, and with the new atmosphere and all this change, it's going to take him a little bit to get settled in. like you say.
So
You can't teach old dogs new tricks. So it's going to take him time to get this all figured out.
So here's the thing I always look at. We look at basketball and how every 2 to 3 years, some team goes out and just spends a ridiculous amount of money and makes a dream team. And that is how it's been since LeBron left Cleveland to join Miami. Now, you see it starting to happen in the NFL where they do this. The Rams did it a few years ago, trading away all their picks and bringing in this dream team. They made the Super Bowl, fell flat in their face. Now you see the Bucks bringing Gronk out of retirement, bringing over a 6-time Super Bowl champion in Tom Brady, having this dynamic receiving core already built in, then signing a Leonard Fournette who was dropped by a team who is absolute garbage because he hasn't been able to stay healthy over the last 2 years. But they bring all this
Hasn't been
together.
That great when he is healthy.
True. They bring all these things together thinking, all right, if we pick this piece here and pick this piece here, pick this piece here, we can make this dream team. And there's no way in the NFL you can put that together so quickly like you can in the NBA.
At least
5 players compared to 22 players, a little different.
If this was Tom Brady, 2-3 years ago, sure, you probably got time. The clock is ticking. That's how you're going to know we're officially old, is when Brady puts out that tweet or that Instagram post and finally goes, you know what, I'm hanging them up. But I mean, it's right around the corner. It can't be more than 2 or 3 years out. So the window is rapidly closing. Yeah, that's barring,
if they have a catastrophic
or,
year this year, he's done. There's no way he's going to keep in and do the, I don't want to say do the Brett Favre, because Brett Favre had success after he left the Packers, but drag it out till he's 45, 46. Man's 43 years old.
Well, I could see him doing that only, and I'll tell you why, just solely because this year has been, I feel like this is almost going to be in his mind, the year that Michael Jordan came back halfway through the season after playing basketball or playing baseball, and then, lost to the Magic in the Eastern Conference Finals. This is kind of it's a shortened season, it doesn't really count. I didn't have a full off-season program with a new team. So I feel like he'll play this year. They might fall flat on their face. They may, turn it around. It's only week 1. Who knows?
Right.
Well, it's technically week 2. By the way, Burrow threw a touchdown to TJ Uzoma, or however you say it. I didn't get to watch the play, but and that was a big cheap shot there. Oh, that's stupid. One of the Bengals players was running down the field, and the long snapper was running alongside him. He literally just reaches over and just pushes him to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to get your flag.
That'll do it. Yeah. Azuma, the tight end, CJ.
Yeah, CJ Ozuma. Okay, what was I talking about right before that?
Just Brady in his twilight years and how this compares to the Jordan time of him coming in half the year.
He'll finish this year out, and then probably 2 more full years after this is what I'm thinking.
That's just insane to me. I get it. Vinny Testaverde played that long, but he was never a starter. And then was it Josh McCown right now is sitting on a practice squad making $12,000 a week or something like that, just sitting on his couch?
Can you imagine that? He's literally he's sitting at home. He's just probably working out once, twice a day, hanging out with his kids, just watching TV, watching film, just fucking around. And then he clears that check for $12,000 every week. I would have somebody, if I was him, I would have somebody pay me to do that until somebody finally called me. And then you were you could be 65 and have teams still signing you to do that. Be yeah, Josh, can you still play? Don't even come out of your house. Be oh yeah, I'm still good. I still feel good. And then the Browns call or something, be hey, we could really use you this week under center. And it's oh, I had a back injury last week. I think I'm retired. Sorry.
I slept funky and I pulled my hammy.
Yeah, I slept wrong and I am retired. That's
That's what it's like
Josh
when you get
McCown is fine.
up over 30.
Josh McCown finally retires at 76 years old.
All right, so let's move on to another quarterback. Didn't play at all last year. Had a week and a half he played, I guess, before an injury. I'm talking about Big Ben here.
2.5
The
weeks.
injury, yeah, it was week 2 that he went out.
It was week 2, yeah.
Yeah, halfway through the week 2. So injury in his elbow, tendon that nobody has really successfully come back from and played again. It's usually a retirement type of injury. Has his surgery, goes through the rehabs, comes out and looks scared in that first quarter. Looks frightened about the pressure around him, was not making strong throws. Then there was a long drive they made to get into the red zone. I believe they scored the touchdown. It was a long drive they made. Ben made a huge throw under pressure that I believe was to Juju for the touchdown. And that there it kind of woke up. So he had a very strong game, 3 touchdowns. I think it was 229. I think he had 11 incompletions. A lot of that was early, and a lot of that was throwing away. But not perfect, but looked good in that second half. What do you take of this? Is it something that can be sustained? Do you think this, actually Ben is back? Is he going to be to his full form? The 2018 form where he leads the league in passing yards? What is your take as a non-Steeler loving person?
Well, he looked okay, is what I will say. Overall, he didn't, like you said, he looked better in the second half. But I think a lot of that, Deontay Johnson really impressed me. He looked
He
very
had
good.
moments where he was like, "What are you doing?" And then moments later, then he'd make a killer play. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
off a punt, but I'm going to grab the sideline catch. So it's like,
Well, yeah, he did do that early, but I mean that's youth and inexperience. You're gonna have that. And then James Washington finally looks like he's coming into his own a little bit. So he's
he pushed
finally,
the
instead
pile
of
better than James Conner did the entire game.
you guys, I think it's time to just. We'll get back to Ben in a second. I think it's time to just push the reset button on Connor and just let him go. I don't
think
know
so,
what.
too.
I don't know what happened to that guy, but like I was texting you guys earlier in the game. I thought you guys had cut Jalen Samuels.
I thought we did
I didn't
too.
realize you see because
I
you
think they
told me
did
that, and
re-signed
then
him, but I don't know that for sure.
yeah, because I cracked that joke because you guys were throwing all those screens to Connor earlier in the game and it was going nowhere. And I'm like, oh, if only you didn't have a pass catching back like Jalen Samuels. And then they put him in. He really didn't look much better. They just need to run Benny Snell until the wheels fall off is what they need to do.
That's what it seems like right now. He was the only one getting penetration, only one getting those yak yards. Or not yak yards. No, that's right. Yak yards. Yards after contact.
Well, give me yards after carry or yards after contact.
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, he looked way better than the rest of them. I don't know, like what the fuck is wrong with James Conner? Like that remains to be seen. But as far
he
as Ben
seems
goes,
scared about getting hit. He hesitates too much. Like he's looking like he's trying to impersonate Bell, but poorly. Like,
well, and that's when Le'Veon was about to hold out. I remember saying that was what I loved about Connor was he ran like he just literally ran straight ahead. He was not like he would have his moments where he did that and like dipped around a little bit, but he was mostly like just a downhill. Like as soon as he got the ball, he wanted to go for it. Like you said, now he's like very hesitant. He's almost very hesitant. I can't think of the other word. I'm trying to.
He's just
reluctant.
lackluster.
Reluctant.
He's indecisive. What he wants
Yeah.
to do when he gets the ball, and exactly. I don't know.
But yeah, as far as we got a little bit off topic there, but that's what really bothered me about this game. Ben looked meh. I think there's room for improvement, but there's also his first game back. I think there was He said he was nervous. He did the other thing I'm a little bit worried about. He did say he was literally. He said this is something to the effect of he's sore as hell, or this was the most sore he's ever been in his whole life. I guess just like overall, like he did
Yeah.
get hit, but he got walloped a couple times in that game.
Well, I mean, it was like the second hit he took, he came up like grabbing his knee, and you're like, Jesus Christ, come on.
Well, I just, you know me, I just start giggling. I'm like, well, they're gonna have to bring out the boot. 2020 is actually normal again.
No, no, no. I look
Everything,
forward to
everything
this
is
week
as
and
it should be.
seeing what he can do against Denver. I'm hoping that this first game really helped him get that kind of initial jitters out of the way. Obviously, with no like full training camp, no preseason, no nothing, that he couldn't get out there and get some, because there was timing that was off with the young receivers. You see him overthrow Connor in the flats and then underthrow other receivers when they're making their cuts. But then there was times where he was launching the ball before they came out of their cut, and it was nailing them perfectly when they come out. So, like, the timing's not 100% there, but it's getting there. So I look forward to these
You hit the
coming
nail on the
weeks.
head. You hit the nail on the head. That's what bothered me is those early in the game, he kept like missing people in the flats high, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
Where was it? Well,
I mean,
why?
yeah, like there was no touch. He had no feel, and like you said, he was almost like scared to get hit or something in the first half. Like he took, like you said, that second hit, he took that, and then he was like, that kind of hurt. This kind of sucks," and then he kind of had to settle in. I think. Yeah, hopefully they get a little bit more. I don't think it was so much as timing, but he's got to work on, I guess, just really hitting him in the numbers. He can't be overthrowing wide open running backs.
Yeah.
Running,
there were
5 yard
plays.
outs.
The Chase Claypool on the sideline, that was a beautiful throw. There was an in hook towards the sideline. I believe that was Deontay Johnson made on the left
I think
side,
so.
where he threw that ball
Yes.
before the cut even happened, and by the time he turned around, the ball was there. It was beautiful. But those were few. There was, one of those, and then one of the horrible ones. So like it was like, all right, let's get it all together so we can have those. Like even that first touchdown pass to Juju. Juju was so fucking wide open. I could have made that throw. He just fucking
Oh, absolutely.
skyballed that into an area in the back of the end zone.
Odell just got his jersey grabbed on a bomb, and they didn't throw a flag. He didn't catch it, but he literally got drugged backwards, and they were like, "Nope, it was uncatchable."
All I'm saying is I was going to trade Odell Beckham after the first week, and he has me 15 points right now, so I'm not upset.
Oh, typical Jesse, overreacting. Oh, that's so bad. They should have called that.
I overreact a lot very quickly. Okay, so let's move on to some of the other quarterbacks that we mentioned. There's Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Gardner Minshew. Let's start with Russell.
Yeah,
Gardner Minshew. Let's start with Russell. This man plays this game like he is possessed right now. He is already looking like he's going to be MVP form right now. He's just insane.
Oh, what did he? That stupid fucking Twitter video. What did he make? What did he call himself, Mr. Unlimited or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, that's what it was, Mr. Unlimited, and he's as fucking stupid as it was. He may be what he described.
It's like I feel like his weapons
it was
are
so
the best
great.
weapons he's had in a while.
I mean, I couldn't really disagree with that. I could see it. I mean,
you could argue with Marshawn Lynch back in the day, a running back. Carson, I wouldn't say is Marshawn Lynch worthy.
Who the hell do they have wide receiver even?
DK, Tyler Lockett.
Oh yeah, DK, Tyler Lockett, and David Moore.
And then they have Greg Olsen, who is just Mr. fucking reliable as a tight end. So
it was great sitting here because Homer and Carly were both here for opening day, and Carly has Russell, And I was sitting here and I was just laughing because she kept checking, she just obsesses over the fantasy scores. And I kept looking down and I was like, oh, he missed 2 passes. What a shame. He was like 16 for 18 with like 3 touchdowns and like
Yeah.
over 200 yards or something like that. Just absolutely disgusting. I mean, what do you do with that?
I think the only thing that's really holding the Seahawks team back from being the most dominant in the NFC right now is that defense. It's not what it was when they were winning Super Bowls on Russell's rookie
The Legion of
contract.
Boom is no more.
Yeah. So the defense isn't bad. It's not the superstar defense they had back when they were the Legion of Boom. So it's been put more on Russell, but the goddamn man is insane. So
I mean, do they really need that good of a defense if you can go out and do that? I mean, I don't think that production is sustainable, but
no,
also but this isn't the first time we've seen Russell Wilson do these types of things.
yeah,
So, I mean, the man, like I said, I don't see it happening all year long, but he can do this thing and do it over and over again in a season multiple times. So, I mean, this may be the Seahawks' year.
yeah.
If he keeps playing like this, it's going to be hard to argue that point.
I would love to see what's going to happen when he plays some of those, top 10 teams right now, and what kind of what that matchup's going to show. Is the defense going to be able to hold them off enough for that offense to just take over the game? So I'm excited for
Well,
that team.
they said they adapted last week because they said they wanted to stop the run and they wanted to stop Carson at all costs. And then Carroll decided, okay, we're just going to throw in the ball instead. And they had no way of stopping that. What did he have? 2 receiving touchdowns in the first half or something like that?
Yeah.
Like just something
And
absolutely
last
stupid.
year, they were like one of the more rushing teams, like percentage wise. I think they were like 62% rushing. And you wouldn't have known that because they didn't have like insane numbers on the rushing category. But I think they just need to give the ball to Russell and let him do his thing because he's crazy.
Let Russ cook.
Yeah, that's it. Another one that showed that you just gotta let the man do what he does. Aaron Rodgers put a Vikings defense, who I thought was probably a top 5 defense coming into the season, to shame. Just made it look easy. And he complained all offseason about, get me help, get me weapons, get me, somebody to throw to. I don't know. The people they got right now, every single one, was it Lazard, Scandling, was it
Marquez Valdez Scantling.
Yeah, and all the way up to Devontae Adams, and Adam Jones is still running like crazy as well. That
Aaron
offense
Jones.
or Aaron Jones. Sorry, Jesus Christ.
God. Yeah, Devontae had 14 receptions for 156 and 2 touchdowns.
and it wasn't even like Aaron Rodgers made it look effortless. Like, it didn't look like he was forcing the ball or overly excitable. He was just in his relax mode, and he was.
Did you see the Vikings defense? He didn't have to look like relaxed or rushed. I mean, they got a little bit of pressure on him, but the corners,
there was a lot of hype on this defense, and they did not live up to it coming into this game.
Like I said, there's going to be a lot of overreactions week 1. You got to pump the brakes on everything.
Absolutely.
And once again, they could get it together. But yeah, week 1 impressions. Mike Zimmer is going to be working the shit out of them. It's going to be full pads all week, motherfuckers.
Well, you got to think with who they had on that team. They really expected to be able to get good, solid pressure from a 3-4 man rush, because they that front 7 they loved, and it just came out so flat. And a lot of people were expecting the secondary to be a top 5 secondary, and Harrison Smith was about the only person that showed up on that thing. And that's just because that man is just a crazy good veteran, but the corners couldn't stop anybody.
Well, and that's all the work of a good quarterback right there, and a good running back in Aaron Jones. Is you effectively neutralize the pass rush and the three linebackers by being able to run the ball effectively and being able to utilize play action. And then as soon as you utilize the play action, if the corners aren't within 5 yards of your fucking receiver, it's Aaron
They're gone.
Rodgers. Of course, he's going to throw them open, and it's going to be easy every single time.
Yep.
You can't.
It was textbook of how you control a game.
Surgical.
All right, and then I think the only other quarterback we have to mention is Gardner Minshew did pretty good out there. So okay,
Yeah, he was all right.
He did okay. Fucking Jacksonville starting 1-0 after I said a week ago that this looks like the worst team in the NFL right now.
They will be. They'll get about one more, and then they'll be on their way to Trevor Lawrence.
Tank for Trevor. So
God knows they need a quarterback.
So I think the only other things I want to mention is how long do you think it's going to be till we see some of these other rookies? Now, obviously, we see Joe Burrow, who already is starting out very well. Like, hasn't shown that he's. I think as a rookie through these first game and a half so far, he looks pretty serviceable. Like he's been in the league for a while. Obviously, he's throwing shorter stuff, letting the playmakers make the plays for him, but he's managing games well. He ran a pretty good, I believe, 4-minute drill near the end of the game, which should have won it for them last week. But I don't know. I like what he has already presented. So how long do you think it's going to be before we see Tua, before we see Herbert?
Well, Tyrod Taylor didn't look terrible. He didn't look great, but he didn't look terrible. Tua, I think, is probably the first one you're going to see come out. I think eventually Fitzmagic, you got to win the first game of the year for it to take place. Everybody and their brother knows that. You got to, especially, when the Patriots are, you got to go to Foxborough, beat them game one, and then win 4 or 5 in a row and then fizzle.
Yeah.
The fact that he's didn't come out and they didn't win week one tells me that's probably not good news for the Dolphins. So unless they experience a quick turnaround or sort of like a late year renaissance like they did last year, I think it's probably Tua time. We'll set the over under at week 4. This is my bet.
Yeah, I was gonna say week 4 probably is that cutoff. If they're looking at 1-3 at that point in time, Tua's coming in because they're gonna try to salvage this season. They know they're not a playoff team yet. They could be with more experience, better line. But I think at best this is a 500 team, and I think if they look at a 1-3 starting record, Tua's in.
Yeah. I just don't think. I just don't.
It's hard because Fitz has done it so many times before, where he's pulled a team out of purgatory and made them look good near the end.
Yeah. I don't see it happening. I see them probably having a very, very slow start and them pulling the plug on him just to see if Tua can try and rejuvenate and, and inject a spark into the offense. And the pretty much the Dolphins and every team that, all your teams that everybody's like, oh, they're going to be basement dwellers, they're going to suck. They're going to look at this, especially because the playing field's pretty level if you think about it as far as like coaching and off seasons and stuff like that. You don't have the normal programs. You don't have as much time to settle into playbooks and stuff as, so like it really shows on the field how, everything's pretty even right now as far as the mistakes and how rusty everybody is. So if you're the Dolphins or any one of these other teams, look at it like, it's basically any man's game right now.
I almost like the fact that we're not seeing the crazy home field advantage either with the crowd noise and everything. You're seeing pure play where it's mono e mono, no advantages, just who's better. And I like that in a sense.
The Browns have people in their stadium and they have them all setting apart so they're social distancing, but it just looks like a Browns game. Like there's just like 45 people in the stands.
It's pretty standard. They actually broke a attendance record today.
It literally looks like the second quarter of like a fucking Sunday afternoon game against the Ravens or something like that. And they're down 45-10. Well, we're set to, and they go back and fucking Gannon and whoever else is at the game, and they're like, well, we're set to kick off the third quarter, and there's like five guys in the stand.
There's just one dude in a dog mask, like crying in the corner.
He's not even crying, like he's just sleeping. He's drunk, passed out, and his buddies left him there.
But needless to say, right now, a minute and a half left in the second, and Cleveland is up 21-10. So the battle of Ohio continues.
Baker just threw a touchdown to Kareem Hunt in the flat. Real easy one. He was wide open.
Nice. And that Bengals defense showed a lot of promise in week one, which I honestly feel like they shouldn't have tried to go for the field goal. They should have tried to go for fucking gold. And 13 yards, 7 seconds. Just go for the touchdown. You're the Bengals, for Christ's sake. Nobody's going to be like, the Bengals are such idiots for going for it. No, they're going to be like, look at the guts of the Bengals.
Especially with Burrow. I figured he'd be itching and, scratching to get back on that field.
Oh, yeah. So I think that was just a dumb move on them. I kind of expected more. I picked him week one, and I think I picked him also this week. So it's kind of like, where the fuck are they going here?
Well, they're coming back, and I'm pretty sure Burrow, they're going to call a personal foul on the Browns for hitting below the knee. So,
well,
there's a minute 3 left, and they'll move them up about 15 yards. So they'll be about at the 50-yard line. So they could be. Oh no, actually, never mind. There was holding. The guy, he literally drug him into the dude. So the Bengals are doing Browns things right now, and I can't help but think it's because you picked them.
That's not that's fair.
Yeah,
that's absolutely fair.
All right, next game.
So, I guess what we really need to talk about now is some of the key injuries that happened after this week one matchup. So there obviously was some huge things. We could talk about Richard Sherman, expected to be out just a couple weeks. There was Le'Veon Bell with his hamstring.
I believe they're both expected to be out 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're both now. So this is a new addition this year where we're doing a 3-week IRs. Is that correct?
Yes.
So before it was
I believe it was 6, if I'm not mistaken.
6 or 8. I can't remember which one it was, but it was 6, I believe, is the right call there. Where it was that was how many weeks allotted before they were able to even practice again. And now you're seeing them being able to actually produce or come back after 3 weeks. Now, and it's not strictly in COVID either. That was the thing I was kind of concerned with. I thought that initially IR was going to be just for COVID-related incidents for this 3-week return, and it turns out everything. Now, that being said, IR is not as scary as it was in the past. So when you say
it was
Richard Sherman is on IR, he's going to miss 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, that's as soon as you saw these guys, it was like, I drafted Deebo Samuel to be in my flex because I thought he was going to be like perfect for that. They're like, oh, he's on IR. I'm like, oh, fuck, this sucks. Like, this is just my luck. And then I'm like, wait, literally says he's out at least 3 games and he'll probably be back after the 4th or the 5th. And I'm like, Well, wait, if you're on IR, it takes longer than that, right? But yeah, thank God. So you can, everybody can panic. IR still could be a bad thing. It could be very, very bad, but it could be, it's going to mean a lot less this year, I guess.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
guess,
the
I guess
biggest
not
thing.
less was not like the correct. I'm kind of fucking it
It's
up there,
not,
but you
you
know what I
have
mean.
to pay attention to how long they're allotting because
Yeah,
uh
yeah. You can't just assume that. You can't assume the worst. You got to look, and it could be, not that bad.
well, let's talk about some of the other key injuries to some superstars out there. Michael Thomas being one that I want to talk about. High ankle sprain, expected to miss a couple of weeks. They say that this may be a little more serious than they initially thought. Obviously, this is a huge, huge problem for a team who he caught 150 some balls last year.
Yeah.
The insane amount of the offense that just revolved through him. So, yeah, they signed Emmanuel Sanders this offseason to help take some of that pressure off him. But what does this mean for the Saints team moving forward? Now, before we dig into it, we saw this happen last year with Drew Brees, and obviously it worked out perfectly fine. They went 4-0 during that stretch. So, what do you think about Michael Thomas? Is it going to be more drastic than that?
It's hard to tell with a high ankle sprain. I mean, with a normal ankle sprain, it's like 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
With that, it's- I had one in high school, and it does take quite a while. Like, you don't feel you can play, but it takes a while before you actually feel normal, and you can do it without really any pain. So it really depends on when he's willing. I'm saying 2 weeks at the very least.
Very minimum, yeah.
And if he plays in the third week, he is going to tape the piss out of it, and they're going to biofreeze it.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Here, would you
Yeah.
like 5 cortisone shots, sir?
I just don't see them rushing him back because I feel like this team's offense doesn't necessarily have to revolve around him. Last year, it seemed like Kamara just wasn't there the whole year. Didn't seem like it was him. He was injured for a few games, but it just didn't seem like the previous year where it was all Kamara. So last year, it revolved around Mike Thomas. So now you come out in week one, Kamara looks pretty good. Actually, looked very good compared to last year. And then Mike Thomas goes down. So it's like, I think this team is adapt to be able to make it without these superstars when they are injured. So I don't see them missing too much of a beat by this. But then again, you could always argue the fact that a man who gets 154 receptions or whatever the fuck it was is 30% of that offense or better.
Well, much like we said, the Saints might struggle last year when Teddy Bridgewater did his thing. You just have to look at who Michael Thomas's backup is, and like you said, they brought in Emmanuel Sanders as kind of like a slot receiver, kind of do it all playmaker. So he's probably going to have to be the guy to step up. You figure him and Breeze, even though they've had a limited offseason, they can do enough to keep the passing game going. What it's going to come down to is, can Kamara, your superstars always have to bring you out.
Yeah.
So no Michael Thomas there. The focus is going to be Alvin Kamara, which I hate to bring this up, but they're playing a Raiders team this week, which actually, even though the stats didn't show it, we did on film a fairly good job of shutting Christian McCaffrey down. So hopefully we can do the same with Kamara.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's from what I saw from him last year, it made Kamara look more human than he has. So I think that teams know that they can.
He had a very, very rough year last year,
He
though.
really
Like,
did.
real bad.
That's why
I
I
don't
was
think you can
scared of
judge his
drafting
body of
him
work
this
on all
year.
that. I know, and the year before this, he did so good for me, and I would have taken him as my keeper last year. And I thank God we didn't do keepers. He won me so many games, and then it was like
I wish we
he
would
was
have done
hurt for like
keepers when I had
all
Christian
year.
McCaffrey. So
Yeah, rough. You hate to see it.
I went from having Le'Veon Bell in his heyday to having Christian McCaffrey, and then accidentally trading him.
Wah,
We're not going to
wah.
talk about that. We're not going to talk about that.
Okay.
All right. Well, I think we can move on here and let's talk about this week's games. Obviously, we have the Browns and Bengals. I took the Bengals prior to this. You took the Browns. I will confer with Andy to find out who his pick was in this game. But let's dig into some of our picks here. Let me get back to the NFL and look at the schedule for today or week 2. Let's just kind of briefly go down our 1 o'clocks. We have the Jaguars at the Titans. I don't think there's a question about this game. This Titans team is out for redemption after losing to the Patriots last year. I think this Titans team is going to slobber knock these Jaguars and put them back in their place.
Slaughter knock. I've never heard
Slobber
that
knock.
word. I think you just
Slobber knock.
slaughter.
Slobber knock.
Yeah, the Titans win big. I may go on FanDuel and bet them at like plus or like minus 13.5 or something like that because they're probably going to win by at least 2 scores.
All right, well, let's look at the other 1 o'clocks. Carolina Panthers against Tampa Bay, both 0-1 teams. But do you think the Tampa Bay Bucks are going to be able to put it together, or do you think Bridgewater comes out and McCaffrey gets moving and the Panthers can take this game? I'll let you take this one.
Panthers looked decent last week. Their defense is still young. They got a lot of guys that got to get settled in, and there's got a lot of moving pieces. But
It's almost like
Bridgewater
this
looked
team
okay.
is missing a defensive leader, like I don't know, Luke Kuechly or something.
Yeah, that guy. They drafted. They have no, they don't. I'm a liar. They don't have. They got Derek Brown. That's right. I
Yeah.
had to think there for a second. I almost said Isaiah Simmons because we all wanted them to draft.
We
Isaiah
all thought that was going to happen, and they just completely shit the bed on that pick, I think.
Yeah.
But
no,
on.
they didn't look bad. The Raiders still did a pretty good job, I thought, of shutting down McCaffrey. So he's got to get it rolling this week. I'm going to take the Panthers.
Okay. I think this is going to be a redemption game. If you have ever seen fucking Tom Brady in the past, when he loses, he gets pissed. And I don't see them dropping 2 in a row. I think that this Bucks team starts putting things together, and you really see them come out and roll. I don't think timing was there very well. Gronk didn't get involved, So I think you're going to see better offense from this Bucks team. So I'm going with the Bucks in this one.
Well, you're wrong. So
next game, Broncos at the Steelers. Broncos lost late to the Titans, who should have been winning by a lot more. Have you? Would be minus the 3 missed field goals and missed extra point. To Gostkowski then making the clutch 25-yarder to win the game. So this Broncos team was close in this game, but it shouldn't have been that close. I feel like the Steelers are going to roll in this momentum. That defense is it was phenomenal in week 1. Holding Saquon Barkley to 6 yards rushing is just absurd. So I wouldn't be surprised if now they boost the number 1 rush defense at the moment after 1 week. But I could see them doing a good number. There isn't as dynamic as of a threat with Denver as it was with Barkley. You have Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay, both very good. I don't think Saquon Barkley good. Anyway, I'm picking the Steelers in this one, obviously. I think that the offense just keeps the ball rolling, and you see a better Ben this week.
Wow, shocker. I don't know if Lindsey's going to play. I saw he left on Monday night with a foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to go with the Steelers as well. I think the Broncos bounce back a little bit and they play a little bit better, but it's hard to argue against the Steelers at home here.
Yeah. Up next, LA Rams at the Eagles. The Eagles got embarrassed by the Washington football team. So, and this Rams team looked tremendously better than I expected them to. We've kind of picked on this Rams team over the past where they mortgaged their future so bad with trading away draft picks and then spending all this money on free agents on 1 or 2 year contracts. Then they're gone and they're left with nothing. But this Rams team doesn't look horrible. I'm actually going with the Rams in this week, mainly because they're playing the Eagles, though.
I agree. I'm going to go with the Rams in Philly as well, and Philly will burn. They will be trying to, like, they'll be coming after Carson Wentz with, pitchforks and torches and the whole nine. They'll be
They
like, we've
probably
had
can get
enough.
Nick Foles back.
I don't
After
know.
Trubisky's showing last week, they could probably get Nick Foles back.
God, after after Trubisky's fourth quarter, let's
Yeah, there you
just
go.
he's just the dumb Tim Tebow. That's all.
That's it. Side note, before we continue, did you see the Heisman Week commercial with Tim Tebow?
I did see that.
And how fantastic is that Tim Tebow looked like Moses opening the door with his long beard and long hair. What time is it?
Yeah,
That was amazing.
that was a very good commercial.
All right, so going back to the games here, 49ers surprisingly to an 0-1 start, and the 0-1 Jets. This is a bounce back week for the Niners. This Jets team may legitimately be the worst team in the NFL right now. I don't know how you can argue that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's an argument you don't want to win. That's for sure.
Yeah,
But yeah,
take it.
there's literally no way you can pick the Jets right now. None.
No.
No Le'Veon right now. I mean, I know they signed every running back in on earth, and they have Frank Gore, but yeah, you literally have to take the Niners.
Yeah. Another 1 o'clock. Buffalo Bills 1-0 against the 0-1 Dolphins. This is the Buffalo Bills year. This Buffalo Bills team, Josh Allen looks ridiculous. He just seems to improve each week. I love this team, and I'm definitely going with the Bills here.
And I love Josh Allen. Shout out to my fantasy quarterback. Everybody left him on the board, and he is going to slaughter everything this year. But yeah, Bills walk into Miami and shit on him, and then walk right back out.
Yep. Next 1 o'clock is the 0-1 Vikings against the 0-1 Colts. I think this is going to be a reminiscent of all of Philip Rivers' past Septembers where he plays horrible. And I think this Colts team starts off the year 0-2 because this Viking team is pissed off about what they let happen against the Packers. I think they correct the ship, and I think they go bonkers on this Colts team.
I know one thing. I won't be betting on this game on Sunday because there is no way to know which way it's going to go.
Yep.
Just to contradict you, I'm going to go with the Colts.
Understandable.
Just because I hate Kirk Cousins.
Can't blame you there. 0-1 Lions against the 1-0 Packers. I don't even know if we have to discuss that. It's the Packers all the way.
Yeah, just lock that one in.
Yep, please and thank you. And then up next from there, Falcons at the Cowboys, both 0-1 teams. Both teams played well week one, just didn't get it done. I think the Cowboys were a better team than this. I just think they had some really shaky offensive line play. So I'm going with the Cowboys on this one. And obviously they kind of got robbed at the end of that game with a great Jalen Ramsey acting job. Um,
Yeah.
so I think the Cowboys also should have won that game, much like I thought the Bengals should have won their game. Uh, we're going to come back to that after the picks. Actually, I want to discuss one more thing before you get into your PGA. But who are you taking in that game?
I'm going to have to. I think Zeke gets it going this game. Like you said, the offensive line didn't look good. I think they get it in sync this week, and I think they run all over the Falcons. So, Cowboys this week.
All right. The last 1 o'clock game, we have the Giants at the Bears. Giants 0-1, Bears 1-0. One thing I must say about that Giants team, I like Daniel Jones's play. He actually looked very strong in the pocket. Once again, offensive line play was horrible. They didn't open up any holes for Barkley. The only time Barkley got to do anything was when he was catching the ball out of the backfield. But I feel like once again, this Giants team is going to fall to the Bears. Trubisky actually looked pretty good near the end of that game, and was it Anthony Miller? I want to say
Yes.
yes, had insane catch for that one of those touchdowns from Trubisky. I think you're going to see more dynamic play out of him. I got to go with the Bears in this one.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Saquon gets it going this week. I think that's going to be the big focus of the week is you got to be able to run the ball. There's no way you're going to win games if you're the New York Giants and Saquon has 6 yards. I think
Yeah.
they need to get him going early, open up the play action. Evan Ingram has to play better. That's just a fact. He was horrible. He was piss poor. But yeah, get it going and start to spread the ball out a little bit more. I did like having Darius Slayton on my team and having those 2 touchdowns, so
That
that
was
was nice.
nice.
I'm going with the Giants.
All right. Next game, starting at 4 o'clock, the Washington football team against the Cardinals. This Cardinals team is scary. I think that this Cardinals team, barring like horrible defensive failures, is going to be a awesome team this year. I'm going with the Cardinals all the way.
Of course, I had to make fun of Cliff Kingsbury, and he basically has it all figured out. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cardinals, but wouldn't it be something if the football team just comes out and keeps shocking
Keeps
the
the
hell
ball
out of us?
rolling.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that football team coming out there and doing football stuff.
totally not racist at all.
No. Up next, 4:25, the Chiefs Chargers game. Chargers 1-0 with Tyrod. Didn't look fantastic, but got the job done. Can't make the mistakes that they made against the Chiefs team who takes advantage of those type of things. Where at one moment you could be tied and 5 minutes later you're down 2 touchdowns. That's how this team operates. I got to go with the Chiefs on this one for sure.
No shit, Chiefs for sure.
I think that's just a lock. 16 weeks of saying the Chiefs win. All right, next up, Ravens at the Texans. I feel bad for this Texans team. What a horrible way to start the fucking year. You play Mahomes week 1 and then Lamar Jackson week 2. Fuck that.
They just didn't feel like having them win at all.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what? We want you to go 0-2 right off the jump.
Yeah, that's it. I feel bad for them, man. Like I really do. But I mean, you can't. I think that the Texans team is going to be a good team this year. I think they're going to be playoff team. How can you pick against the Ravens and the Chiefs this early? I can't. It's Ravens all the way.
Yeah, I want to disagree with you. I want to take the Texans at home, but I can't bring myself to do it because I know I'll get fucking burned. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens.
All right, next one up, the Sunday night. Excuse me. Oh, Sunday night game, Patriots at the Seahawks. This one is difficult, and this is going to be a fantastic game. This is really the Seahawks versus the Patriots defense, is what it is.
Yeah.
I got to go with Russell Wilson on this one. I feel like he's been in this position before. I think the Patriots offense does what they do, where they find the wrinkles and they do, something well, not everything well. The Seahawks offense is just crazy. Um, it all is going to depend if I guess the Seahawks can step up on defense a little bit. I think it's the Seahawks game to win. Um, what do you think on that one?
I think defense wins championships, and I think that would be applicable if the Patriots weren't flying clear out to the West Coast on their first big road trip of the year. I think Russell Wilson gives them too much to handle. I think they put up a good fight, but I'm going to give this one to the Hawks.
All right. Yeah, this is going to be a fantastic game that on Sunday night. And then Monday night, Saints against the Raiders, also going to be a awesome game, I think. I got to go with
First game in
Saints
the
on
new
this.
stadium.
I really think that the Saints are just a great team this year. It's hard for me to pick against the Raiders on this though. Their home opener there. Are they going to have 25%?
None. I don't think. I
None.
don't think they're having any.
See, I think if there was 25% or even 15% of fans there, I would go the Raiders because they would have that juice running through their veins. But you're playing in a dome. It's kind of what the Saints love to do. So I feel like it's got to be the Saints in this one. What do you think?
I would tend to agree with you, but no Michael Thomas. So, and Breeze statistically had one of his worst games as a pro last week, actually, believe it or not. So, of course, you can break out the bias button all you want, but I think
That's
if we can
fine.
at least we get Nevin Lawson back this week. If we can take Michael Thomas away and take, like you said, those 155 catches, I like our chances at home.
Yeah.
I'll take the Raiders.
I honestly, I'm a hairline on that one. I agree with what you're saying, and I'm like, I'm teetering back and forth on that game. It's hard.
But you
to
just
pick
won't
that
agree with
game.
me. So,
Yeah. All right. So that's our picks. I will be posting those. I'll get Andy's picks from him. He's in a house meet remodel mode, so he was not able to join us today. Before we head on into the PGA Tour, one thing I want to talk about, these OPI penalties that happened last week. There was three notable ones. Obviously, the Dallas one, the Cincinnati Bengals one, and then there was one right near the end too. Now I can't think of it. But anyway, do you think that teams now are going to defensively are going to understand that, hey, they're being really lax on these, getting hands on me. If I see a receiver put a hand out, I'm falling back to try to get this flopping and getting this penalty. Do you see this becoming a
yeah.
problem?
It'll be a problem both ways. You'll have guys that are constantly trying to get that offensive pass interference and get that little bit of a hand battle and try and, do things like that. But you're also on the flip side going to see it's going to be used to, an advantage on both sides. You're going to see, I guess, God, I'm so tired. I totally lost where I was going on my train of thought there. But basically, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see offensive players trying to take advantage of it more often, and you're going to see a lot more flops. But at the same time, you're going to see Jalen Ramsey, esque things happen where, you get defensive players that are constantly trying to, look like, oh, well, he, threw me back 5 yards and this and that, when in reality, it's just a lot of, hand shoving and a big hand battle. So, like I said, it's offensive pass interference right now, but next week it'll start to just be back to old regular, defensive pass interference. And
Yep.
who the hell knows? They can't ever get it right week in and
No,
week out.
there's something each year, it seems like, that is the penalty of the year that they just can't get right. Was it 2 or 3 years ago? It was nobody could complete a catch. And
yeah, we didn't know nobody knew what a catch was. There were so many rules, and then they finally simplified that. Yeah, now they're calling off OPI everywhere, and yeah, it's always something with these guys. They can't ever just have a year where we don't have to talk about the officiating.
Yeah, you think that maybe like in a year like this, we could just just do it right.
Yeah, everybody's sort of sitting at home on their couches, not really paying attention to anything. They can sit at home and watch football. Maybe, just maybe, let's not fuck this one up, boys.
All right, let's close out with your PGA Tour. You said you had a little something to add to the show there.
Yeah, not a lot to talk about. U.S. Open week. Thought the course was going to play a lot tougher on the first day, but because everybody was saying they were showing videos of the rough and how fast the greens were rolling and all the quotes from JT and Tiger about what a tough venue this was going to be. And then JT comes out and shoots five under in the first round. I think when they last played the Open here in 2006, in the first round, there were 12 players under par. Today, there were 21 under par.
Wow.
So what's going to happen is they're trying to get through the entire field so they can play, so they don't have to go, there's no delays or, due to darkness, this guy has to tee off tomorrow and we got to push everything back and all that bullshit. So basically what they're doing is they're running everybody out, playing as long as they can so that they can get 2 days in, and then they're going to turn this course up to fucking 11. Because you can't, as soon as the course gets tough, guys are going to start playing slow and they're going to start rethinking this shot and this and that. So they know they can't do that on the first 2 days. Now, Mother Nature is going to take over a little bit tomorrow. I guess they're supposed to be like 20 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts at some point because they are on the middle of Long Island. So they're basically on a thin little strip with ocean on both sides. So you're going to see a lot more wind, a lot more weather tomorrow, and the wind will in turn dry the fairways, and so the ball will bounce a little bit further, and it'll dry the greens out, which will make things a lot more hectic. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a little bit more challenging tomorrow, but the real carnage comes on Saturday and Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. JT at the top, Patrick Reed, Thomas Peters, and Matthew Wolff all tied at 4 under par. You got Rory, Lee Westwood, couple big names. Nobody really. Bryson's 1 under, Finau's 1 under, Rahm's 1 under. That pretty much, and Ricky. That pretty much rounds out anywhere from 5 under to even par right now. So the notables, I guess. I was seeing though. I do have to go check. Did I see right? Yes. If you bet on Phil this week, I think you lost your money because he's currently tied for 142nd. He is 9 over par.
So he's playing like me.
He didn't exactly play well, and it's kind of crazy because Winged Foot in 2006 was everybody rags on Phil for not getting the career Grand Slam. This was the site of his meltdown in 2006 where he had, I believe it was a 2-shot lead going to the 18th hole, and him and Colin Montgomery both double bogeyed to lose to Jeff Ogilvy. Both had it and just completely fucked up the 18th. And that's the one thing Phil doesn't have on his resume is a U.S. Open. So everybody was like, oh, he can go back and play this venue very well. No, he just shot 9 over par, and he's not, unless he goes out and plays extremely well on a very tough venue, he's going to miss the cut.
This place haunts him.
It lives to burn in his memories for another year.
Yep.
Actually, forever, because he won't be back for the next U.S. Open they play here. Fuck, the last one was in 2006, so he's old enough to play the Champions Tour now. He'll be 60-something the next time they come around.
All right. Well, anything else you want to add before we close out?
Browns just went for it on 4th and 2 to Jarvis Landry. Browns are up 13-21 with 10 minutes left in the third, and it looks like they're cruising down the field. That's about all I got.
Nice. All right. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. I know we had kind of an abridged, short version. We had, the two smartest guys, at least.
Yeah,
So that's
we
all that
we we
matters.
talked a little bit. I think we went just about an hour, but a lot of content, a lot of
Yeah, a little good stuff.
knowledge in there. Yeah,
Well,
basically listen to this week if you want to win your fantasy football matchup.
that's right. Exactly.
We are now that Kevin's not here, we are the smartest guys on the internet. Nick Chubb cannot be stopped. He just ran through just about everybody from about 25 yards out for a touchdown. He may be down at like the 1, but holy hell, he's like a wrecking ball right now. All right, go ahead and finish the show.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us for All the Rage Sports. As always, go to our Facebook page, give us a like, see us on our Twitter, email us at our alltheragesports@yahoo.com. You can go to our webpage at alltheragesports@weebly.com. You can listen to our Transistor host site or listen to us on Spotify and iTunes, and watch us on YouTube. As always, as for myself, Jace Junk, Andy Stewart, who wasn't here today, we want to thank you all for joining us, and tune in next week. We will be going on Wednesday. Next week, Andy had some house renovations that caused some issues, so we will 100% be going Wednesday. But we'll see you following next week, but stay tuned for more. And as always, rage on.
Tune in next week for the dumb version.
There you go.